Good morning. I'm Bear from the internet, freshly shorn and shaven the way that I like it, if I'm being honest. It is the 25th of July, 2025. This t shirt is brought to you by UG Solutions. What's up, bros? The show is brought to you by the creator of the universe, Yahweh, your Elohim, the Lord, your God, refugomedical.com, of which I'm the founder. And Patreon. Love those people over there. Good morning, Patreon. Did 2 hours live yesterday, Q&A with Patreon. If you're on Patreon and you haven't watched that, go watch that. Thursday, Pelt Patreon exclusive live stream Thursday. The housing market continues to be a tough nut to crack for regular folks trying to build wealth and independence through property ownership. Like you and me, hey, let's own some property. Let's get off of the hamster wheel. We'll grow a tomato once on occasion. Maybe we'll get some bok and a couple of moos, and it'll be fun. Home sales dropped 2.7% in June to 3.93 million units, with high mortgage rates keeping everything stuck at cyclical lows. The average mortgage rate sits at 6.77%, and as one economist put it, quote, if the average mortgage rates were to decline to 6%, our scenario and analysis suggests an additional 160,000 renters becoming first-time homeowners. Interest rate stuff. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. Oh yeah, starting with finance, says Tato in the chat. Good morning, everyone. The median home price hit another record for June at $435,000. What? So, I know. Stick to the script, Bear. Don't jump into too many rabbit holes. We're 2 minutes in and already inflation, devaluation of the US dollar. This is the issue. The homes themselves, honestly, new construction homes are less impressive than they were 20 years ago. But they're smart and they have energy saver devices, and the thermostat will tell, it'll tell your cell phone to beep boop beep, and then you can turn your oven on with your Bluetooth. Don't care. Don't 0% impressed by all the energy saver stuff. That's interesting. It seems like none of those appliances have any shelf life, any durability, any longevity, and electricity costs and the cost of running your household just continues to go up. Oh, look, the government was engaged in another scam. Homes under $100,000 dropped 5% annually, while those above $1 million jumped 14%. So that's demand, supply and demand. That's interesting. And houses are sitting on the market longer now, averaging 27 days compared to 22 days last June. First-time buyers only make up 30% of sales, when historically they've been 40% of all buyers, while cash deals remain high at 29% of sales, well above the pre-COVID norm of 20%. What does all of this mean? The wealthy are still buying expensive homes, but regular working families and first-time buyers are getting priced out as home prices keep climbing and homes become harder to sell. Trump recently floated the idea of eliminating capital gains taxes on home sales. Currently, if you've lived in your home as your primary residence for at least 24 months in the previous 5 years, you can exempt the first $250,000 of gains if you're single, or $500K if you're married. Those thresholds haven't been adjusted for inflation since 1997. Thanks, government. Which means a growing number of homeowners face taxes even in average priced areas. The National Association of Realtors estimates 29 million homeowners, about a third, may already have enough equity to exceed the $250,000 cap. Meanwhile, the recently passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tremendous, very good, gigantic bill. I know we said we weren't going to do it anymore, but we did it. Everybody said, including me, that it couldn't be done, but even I was wrong. I was so wrong that I was right, because we passed it. We got it done. It's beautiful. It's made of marble and gold. It's got platinum pages in the bill. Very lovely. Let's see. The One Big Beautiful Bill is set to hit American families hard in the wallet when it comes to energy costs. Great. That's stupendous. I was thinking, if there's one area of my life where I just don't care if costs continue to go up, if I had to pick one, energy's right there at the top of the list. You know what I mean? Who needs energy? I would say let's all become Amish, but nobody can afford the land to be Amish. And have you tried to feed a horse lately? It's ridiculous. How much do those overalls cost? Probably a lot. Are the overalls made in China? How deep does this conspiracy go? Are you telling me, Bear, that the Amish are Chinese intelligence operatives? Yes, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm just messing with you. Initial drafts of the One Big Beautiful Bill would have slammed Iowa families with annual increases of up to $550. The final version still packs a punch. Iowans will see their household electricity and gas bill climb an estimated $100 annually by the end of the decade, jumping to $350 by 2035. Missourians, you people from Missouri, are getting hit even harder. They're looking at a $130 annual increase by 2030, spiking to $640 per year increase by 2035, making them the highest in the nation. Now, I think highest in the nation is probably like Portland, although Oklahoma with its legalized marijuana, it's got a we might be coming for you, Portland, when it comes to the highest in the nation. But I digress. Why? The bill repeals energy tax credits and reduces cost-effective electricity capacity, which creates what experts call a perfect storm of cost increases. For Iowa, which gets roughly 60% of its energy from wind, solar, and other renewable sources, phasing out clean energy tax credits could mean losing wind and solar capacity by 2035. This forces utilities to rely on pricier natural gas, costs they'll pass straight to consumers. Electricity rates for Iowa residents and businesses could rise 14% to 26%. Businesses, commercial accounts for electricity, also have what they call demand, I believe it is. So, depending on how much electricity you're using, if you're a business, especially in manufacturing, this might be something that most people don't know. That if you begin using more electricity than usual, like let's say 40 kilowatts is where you're capped at. Well, you jump above 40 kilowatts because you've got CNCs and laser cutters and big stuff, vacuum pumps that are running 100 150 amps each, right? 240 volt single phase, or 208 240 three phase, big stuff, bigger stuff, right? Well, if all those motors kick on at the same time and it spikes your demand, your electricity prices triple. They triple. That's right, for the day. It's metered by the day. So if, normally, and what's an average rate that you'd pay? I don't know, $100 a day, depending on the size of the manufacturing facility. If you're like one of these large firearms manufacturers, then it's going to be way higher than that. It could be $1,000 a day. Yeah, just for electricity. But when you hit demand, it triples for the day. So now you spent $300 on electricity for the day. Yeah, soft start motors are a thing, but even then, dirty roofer, it depends on how much equipment you have. Doesn't matter how many soft start motors you have, if the amperage draw, right? The soft start is removing the peak. But if the total amperage draw on the system exceeds what the power company has decided to meter to you, because we've got a bank of CNCs over here trying to make stuff in America, make America great again. And each one of them, it's got 120 amps, single phase 240 to the CNC, and you've got 150 amps to the vacuum pump, three phase 480. Okay. It's 150 amps to start that vacuum pump, but it's sitting there and running at 70 amps. Well, how many 70 amp vacuum pumps do you have to stack up before soft start motors don't matter anymore? And they all have soft starts on them anyway. They have to, especially with a vacuum pump. It's part of what the PLC does, is that it starts metering electricity to it, and you can adjust how quickly it starts, 2 seconds to 10 seconds. So it starts spinning up instead of just starting from a dead stop. So all that stuff's built in anyway. How would I know? I make stuff in America. I also know that Yeah, three things about electricity. So let's see. Of course, the economic impact. Oh, let's back up just a minute. The bill repeals energy tax credits for wind. Well, as somebody who put up a bunch of them giant fan things, before I was like, "Oh, this is a scam," and got out of that industry. I've always said, even when I was in the industry, building projects whose ROI, return on investment, is predicated on wind energy tax credits is ridiculous. It should be the return on investment for the project should stand on its own 2 feet, regardless of tax credits. If they give you a 30% tax credit, great. But it either makes dollars, therefore makes sense, or it doesn't make dollars, therefore it doesn't make sense. The issue with this, now, this data is old, although I could do some research on this if y'all are interested. But when I was in, the three largest owners of wind energy in the United States of America, of wind energy, renewables, were ExxonMobil, British Petroleum, BP, and Dutch Shell. Okay, those were the three largest. Why? Why? Because the projects were understood at the highest levels to operate at a loss in the first place. Well, if they're understood to operate at a loss in the first place, why invest billions of dollars? Well, first and foremost, because the government was matching dollar for dollar your taxpayer money, $1 of your taxpayer money for every dollar of corporate mega globo corp money that's put in. Okay, so we funded 50% of these projects. That's the first thing. But who gets the tax credits? You don't. They do. So why invest billions of dollars at a loss to offset your profits to get your tax burden as low as possible? And it's a 2 to 1. For every $100 they put in, they get another $100. Yeah, from you, from me. The whole thing's a scam. And so, good, repeal the wind energy tax credits. It either makes dollars and therefore makes sense, or doesn't make dollars and therefore doesn't make sense, because it's been a giant scam to this point. Just humongous, absolute nonsense of a scam. This doesn't mean that wind energy isn't viable in certain places. It is, but the average project life, which is touted at 20 to 25 years, is actually 12 years. So you need a real wind resource, real, like 5 to 7 year break even, 5 to 7 year ROI. Okay. Um, yeah, that's correct, Justin Redland. If I remember correctly, the time to break even on carbon footprint was way longer than the expected cycle of the equipment. Service life of the turbine is touted as 20 years. It's actually 12 years. The carbon neutrality is 42 years. So if the argument is we're putting these things up because they're better for the environment, what people aren't missing or are missing is that there's several tons of copper that has to be smelted, mined, smelted, transported. There's 240 tons of steel. There's another 60 to 80 tons of reinforcing rebar. There's 900-ish tons of concrete, cement being the most grossly polluting product on planet Earth. And people confuse cement and concrete. Cement is a component of concrete. Concrete has typically a minimum of 4 things in it: sand, stone, cement, water, and then additives. Okay, so cement is a subcomponent of concrete. Lots of people go, there goes a cement truck. Nope, that's not a cement truck. That's a concrete truck. Cement trucks are tankers. But I digress. Point is, oh, and miles and miles and miles of trench filled with very large aluminum wires. And aluminum is way more polluting than copper is. How many? Put up 163, 64 turbines on phase 1 of Cerrito Gulf Wind, and there were 153 miles of trench with cables the diameter of your calf, 3 of them per trench, running 153 miles. So about 460 miles of cable the diameter of your calf muscle. That's great for the environment. This is great for the environment. It's huge. This is huge. We're winning. With so much winning, you're gonna get so tired of winning. You're gonna wake up in the morning with a cranial headache from all the winning that we've done. You're gonna have to pop a couple of Advil with your Diet Coke so that you can remove the pressure from your brain from all the winning that we've done. Or we could just protect pedophiles with the Department of Justice and call it winning, one or the other. So I'm happy to the extent that this is what happy looks like for me. Um, I'm happy that the wind energy tax credits are being repealed. However, there will be many people that will not be happy that these are being repealed. And until we have actual capacitor technology to store the power that is produced by the United States electrical grid, be that nuclear, coal, fuel oil, natural gas, wind, solar, hydroelectric, etc. Okay. Until we have these batteries are so big. I went into the Fed. I said, listen, Jerome, you're not getting golden faucets for your marble bathrooms. We're going to use the money and we're going to make the biggest batteries that anybody on planet Earth has ever seen. They told me, they said, sir, you can't make batteries that big. And I said, of course we can. We're America. We're the best. These batteries. I talked to Duracell. I talked to Energizer, the bunny. He's a very nice man. And I said, listen, bunny, we need giant batteries. Why are you holding a bass drum? This doesn't make any sense. And he boop, bop, booped the drum in Morse code and said, sir, we're going to make giant batteries. They're going to reach all the way to the moon. And I said, do it. We'll pay for it. We've got the money because tariffs. Okay. We need giant batteries because the current backup capacity of the United States electrical grid, like how many batteries, they're called capacitors, but same stuff. Okay. What's the battery capacity for electrical generation backup for the North American electrical transmission grid? The answer is 4 minutes. It's 4 minutes. That's what we currently have. 4 minutes. There are people who can hold their breath longer than that. Okay? It's not a lot. So we need more batteries. Now, I have it on good authority that you cannot stop the battery as well. So, until we have batteries that cannot be stopped produced by the bunny man, none of this matters anyway. Of course, the economic impact goes beyond just higher bills. Iowa could lose as many as 6,300 jobs over the next decade, growing to 11,000 lost jobs by 2035 due to factory closures and terminated construction projects directly related to the increase in energy. The state's GDP is expected to take a $1.1 billion annual hit by 2030, representing about 1% of 2025's GDP. Missouri faces even steeper losses, $1.4 billion in GDP by 2030 and $3.5 billion in GDP by 2035. So great. We're making this country even better for the robots. Also, I would like to unapologetically state the following. I would like to come out on record as racist towards humanoid robots. Okay? The robots that are designed to look like people, I hate those things with every fiber of my being. Every time I see one, I want to, at a minimum, kick it in the face. At a minimum. Most of the time, I want to just shoot it. Robotism. That's right. That's right, Sam Offgrid. I'm a proud robotist. Okay? That proud robotist. We don't, listen, this is all new. We don't have a flag yet. We don't have a secret handshake, but Skydozer FPV. That's funny. I hate those things. I want them destroyed. I don't, there's a new one, right? They've got a new one. I think it's Chinese, like everything else, that when the battery's running low, it will walk itself over to the battery bank and take its own battery out and reinstall a new battery before it dies. And they're like, it can work 24/7. 365 around the clock. Okay, there's the thing though. You might have heard of it. It's called people. What are people gonna do for jobs? Well, Bear, that's why we need universal basic income. Oh, communism. Because communism has done, James, has done such a great job at providing purpose and meaning and provision to hundreds of millions of people across planet Earth. You're right. Let's just try some of that. Let's try some of that out. James said LGBTQLMNOP plus R. Yes, plus R. Definitely the R. Hard R. I'm a robotist. 301 Mag works on robots. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I was thinking like Barrett M107A1. But I digress. Let's cruise the news real quick. From AP News. Yes, I know they're terrible. They're all terrible. Everybody, there's always somebody in the comments like, I can't believe you're reading from those people. Are you even listening, dumbass? I tell you they're terrible. I know they're terrible. You should know they're terrible. We actually agree. Okay? Save your thumbs. I know. It's easy to be outraged in your mom's basement. President Donald Trump visited the Federal Reserve headquarters in Washington on Thursday, where he publicly scorned Fed Chairman Jerome Powell over the cost of a long-planned, roughly $2.5 billion renovation project and sparred with Powell, who challenged the president's latest price tag as incorrect. I saw some video here of Trump saying, I built beautiful properties, way bigger properties for $200 million. What are they doing with this money? This is very expensive. Here's the real question. Here's what I want to know. If the Federal Reserve is a private entity and the only thing that's federal about it is the name, which we all know, why are your taxpayer dollars and my taxpayer dollars being used to fund a private construction project? That's what I would like to know. Somebody explain that to me like I'm 5. Nobody has been able to do that so far. Continuing. They look so cute in their brand new white hard hats as well on the job site. You know, if you've ever worked on a job site and you see a brand new white hard hat coming at you, run, hide. It's about to get really gay on site. And if you're in construction, you know this is true. The only thing that's worse is whatever color the engineering department on your project has chosen for a hard hat. Sometimes blue, sometimes yellow. The only thing that's worse than a brand new white hard hat is a brand new blue hard hat. Okay? Because here comes some bubblegum chewing, oh golly gee shucks, recent college graduate of the engineering persuasion who's going to come out and look at the work that you've been doing for longer than they've been alive and then tell you why it's wrong. And it's like, buddy, you see that thing over there? That's a Caterpillar 345 track hoe. Okay. No, you're missing the point. I can make a hole large enough for your corpse with one swipe of the bucket, smash you with the bucket, use the bucket to sweep you into the hole, scoop the dirt back over it, and compact that hole with the bucket in under 1 minute. Probably 30 seconds on a good day. In other words, why are you here? You need to go. Okay? Those kids are the worst. The brand new engineering graduates. That's not what the blueprints say. Well, yeah, because you guys designed the blueprints in an air-conditioned office 1,000 miles from here without ever seeing the job site. You don't know anything about steel. Well, I know the ASTM specifications for steel. That's different than knowing about steel or concrete or hell, even wood. Son, have you ever built a single concrete form? Ever? No, because you might get a splinter. Now, me personally, you're 100% correct. I know, Andy, but I lived it, homie. I lived it. I ran these job sites, and I would go to war with the engineering department about daily. Does the world need engineers? Yes. Yes, we do. We need engineers. So I at least know what they were thinking when they came up with this crazy idea that they're going to have us build. But I've done a lot of as builds. There's as designed or as drawn, like build it how the prints say, and then there's as built. Yeah, the prints ain't gonna work. We're gonna have to make it work and then update the prints. I've done a lot of as builds. Um, and it's just engineers in general are not the type of person that I mesh well with. So why are we spending 2.5 billion dollars of taxpayer money on the Fed's renovations? I don't know. Trump has previously indicated that Powell's handling of the extensive renovation project on two agency buildings could be grounds for firing. But on Thursday, when asked if the rising cost of the Fed's renovation was a fireable offense, Trump said, "I don't want to put this in that category." Trump has criticized and threatened to fire Powell for months for keeping the short-term interest rate at the Fed at 4.3% after cutting it 3 times last year. So what's the big deal? What's the deal, man, with these interest rates? So the talk here was that the tariff wars that Trump was going to um, commence with all these other nations around the world, the tariff wars were going to cause essentially runaway inflation here in the United States of America. And therefore, to combat that inflation, the Fed would have to keep interest rates high. However, that's not what has actually happened. So we could go ahead and lower the interest rates now, dummies. I'm not uh, a financial professional. The way that you can tell is that my last name doesn't end with Berg or Stein. And although I am originally from New York, I'm from upstate New York, not from downstate New York. We had cows and chickens, not high rises and hoagies. Yeah, no chicken parm sandwiches where I was from. Okay, no matzo ball soup. And so I'm not Bernstein Bears. You caught me, Daniel Powell. The Ponal. You caught me. It's the whole thing's a psyop. Believe the haters; they were correct. My understanding of how one should handle their fiscal conservatism is money that sounds like that. That's what I recommend. Bear, where do you get your silver from? Whoever's got it cheapest. I'm unaffiliated with any single source for silver. I don't care. I'm not trying to scam you guys out of your hard-earned money. There's also no bear coin. There's no crypto meme coin with my face on it or my logo on it. That's not something we're doing. What's up, Ben? Never mind. I don't know. They are arguing over the interest rates, and now as a slight towards Jerome Powell, Trump is now. So what's happening here? Let's say you had an employee and you've asked an employee to do something for a long time and they haven't. Okay. You start paying much closer attention to said employee. You start auditing everything else that they do as well. You don't want to get on the radar, okay? Because now you're under a microscope. People start going through your work product with a fine-tooth comb looking for discrepancies. That's what I see happening here. So Trump is, and what else is happening? Trump's looking for leverage. Hey, do that thing, the art of the deal. Do that thing that I told you to do, lower interest rates, or you're going to have some other problems over here, like the fireable offenses related to the mismanagement of this building project. And Trump, love him or hate him, and I fall into both categories depending on the day, the hour, depending on how recently he has tweeted on X. Trump does know a thing or two about construction. So pulling the wool over his eyes when it comes to construction is going to be difficult to do. Moving along, This is a fun article from RT.com. Russian propaganda. I know. I tell you that every day. Yes, Russian propaganda. Um, and we've talked about how deep the propaganda rabbit hole goes. MK Ultra did not stop. They just shifted gears. But you can't trust the mainstream media. That implies that there's media that you can trust. How interesting. How naive of you. Even you, Bear? How many times have I told you to do your own research? If you watch our Bible videos, you have heard me say 100 times at least. Don't take my word for it. Read it yourself. Go look for it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Candace Owens responds to Macron's lawsuit over transgender allegations. Now, I know YouTube, the algo bots, you're tempted right now to give me my third channel strike and just shut it down. But I am reading the air quote news, sir or madam or robot. So this is coming from RT.com. U.S. pundit says she's fully prepared to take on this battle on behalf of the entire world. American commentator Candace Owens has vowed to fight a defamation lawsuit filed by French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife, Brigitte, after the conservative YouTuber reportedly claimed the First Lady was transgender. Now, opinion. Talk about gaslighting. All you have to do is look at photos of Macron's wife and go, there's no way that's a lady. That's just not a lady. Okay? We all took some version of fifth grade health class where they talked about reproductive health, and dudes generally are more boxy and ladies generally are more curvy. Now, there's a spectrum. But ladies have shapes that men don't have. Okay? And men in particular have a couple of shapes that ladies don't have. It's as simple as that. And Macron's wife, air quote, I'm using air quotes right now for those who are listening. She has all of the dude shapes and none of the lady shapes. What's that quote from Orwell? The ultimate goal of the party was that you would not even believe your own eyes. Now, how shall I say this nicely? I don't know how to say this nicely. I've been on this earth many decades, and I have observed all types of shapes of ladies, from gorgeous to not. They all have shapes, though. They're all ladies. Brigitte don't got any of them shapes. Simple as that. Okay? Yeah, exactly. In my best Austin Powers, that's a man, baby. That's a dude, if ever a dude duded. All right? That's The lawsuit filed earlier this week in a U.S. court accuses Owens of spreading, quote, false and defamatory claims, end quote, including that Brigitte Macron was born a male, that the couple are blood relatives, and that Emmanuel Macron is a product of CIA mind control programs. Now, even if none of this is true, Brigitte Macron she's 25 years older than Emmanuel Macron. How old was she when they met? She was 37 when they met, shortly before their romance began. So if she's 37 when they meet, 37 minus 25 is 12. 12. This sure sounds like a dude playing dress up that's attracted to young boys, doesn't it? Boy, where have I seen this before? No, the world's elites would never do that. Oh, it turns out they would, and then the Department of Justice would hide all of that information. I'm not saying Candace is right or wrong. Candace has been known for saying some wild stuff in the past. I like the idea of this going to court because when there's a court battle, there's this thing called discovery. And during discovery, we all lay out our cards. And then there's evidence that's presented at trial. Here's some more of my cards. It's a homospiracy, says mark are correct. Correct. These people are the worst. Just the worst. Even if that's the fuggliest woman that has ever existed, she asterisk was still 37 when they met, and she's 25 years older than he is. Ben, freaking sick wood chipper time. I know. Nostra dumbass. Brigitte Macron looks like Lindsey Graham in drag. Dude, you are not lying. According to the filing, the allegations were made to, quote, promote her independent platform, gain notoriety, and make money, and amounted to relentless bullying on a worldwide scale. Oh, wah. Wah. In a video posted on her YouTube channel on Wednesday, Owens shared a message intended for Brigitte Macron with her 4.5 million subscribers. Quote, you were born a man and you'll die a man, end quote, adding that she is, quote, fully prepared to take on this battle on behalf of the entire world and that she will see the French president's spouse in court. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. You know, I like it when they eat their own. I like that. You know, maybe we could apply a little asymmetric warfare ourselves and just, continue with these things. We'll see. Now, this also assumes that Candace or anybody else would get a Raymond. Oh, Raymond. Good job, Striker Cade. Raymond said he likes it up his ass like most of this chat. Well, Raymond, why are you here? Why are you here, Ray? Striker got him. It's already hidden. Oh, Raymond. Could you imagine? Could you imagine having a life so devoid of purpose and meaning that you derive fulfillment from shit talking on a YouTube video? You know what I mean? It's like, Raymond, I know it's tough out there in the big bad world, but sooner or later, you're going to have to get off of mommy's couch. You're going to have to put the Cheetos down. You're going to have to put the Mountain Dew down. You're going to have to take your Call of Duty headset off. You're going to have to go out there into the world and act like a man. Yeah, it's difficult. You're going to have to, loosen the drawstring on your sweatpants. Reach down there, give yourself a little squeeze, and remember, you are actually fearfully and wonderfully made in the Creator's image, the Most High, and He is a warrior. And I don't mean a digital one. He's not sniping people in the video games. Okay? You're going to have to learn to adult. And I, for one, cannot wait for the return of immediate consequences. Because, I was talking about this with Dudley the other day. I know where the line is. I'm just comfortable stepping over it. Because at some point, when you just have punched people in the face and been punched in the face over and over again, it's like, it's another one of these. You're desensitized to physical violence. And so I have said some wild shit to people in person just to see how they'll respond. Because if they elevate the violence, okay, we're here now. Cool. And if they don't, I've now taken the measure of the man. Cool. But I miss the days, and I long to return to the days, hopefully sometime soon, because we're going to have so much free time on our hands as the robots are doing all the work. I miss the days when somebody would say something like that in person, and the response was just that quick. And as they're picking their teeth and part of their brain up off of the floor, you say, hey, man, you got anything else you'd like to add to this conversation? No? Then I would recommend you keep your mouth shut. Those were the best days. That's like when men were men. Remember like the 1970s beer commercials? Ford F-150 bouncing up the side of a mountain, Budweiser, and it's a bunch of dudes in shorts that are way too short, tank tops. By the way, where were all the obese people hanging out on the weekend, right? Just slamming a couple beers, and they're like, "This is Tina. Tina's in a bikini." And it'd be like those commercials late at night where like your parents would have to cover your eyes, be like, "Go to bed. This is not for children." Right? Like that. Like men were men and women were women. They weren't all dressed up in drag because society would punch you in the mouth for saying some wild shit. And if you were a man dressed up in drag, taking advantage of a 12-year-old, somebody would find a rope and they would tie it around your ankles, and then they'd tie the other end of the bumper of that F-150 bouncing up the side of a mountain, and you'd go for a little ride. And that's how shit got handled. And it was the best. Now, I know there's some younger people in the chat right now who have like don't even know the world without an existential crisis rectangle. They've never existed without Wi-Fi and a device. But I'm telling you, believe me, as an elder millennial here, as somebody who's seen some stuff that you've only read about in books, on the rare occasion that you do read an actual book, it was the best. It was just absolutely the best. It was so good. Grandpa described a time with no queers, says Sam off grid. We used to be a proper society. You know what I mean? Accountability. That's exactly right, Andy Barnes. And instant accountability. It's like, oh, you want to tell my friends in the chat. So let's back up. Instead of my friends in the chat, how about my friends and we're at the bar or we're at the diner, and you're just going to walk up to somebody and imply that every one of us here is a homosexual. By the time I got off the bar stool and got 2 boots on the ground, buckets and Bibles would already have you spitting teeth. You know what I mean? Like that would have already happened. Dudley be slowly taking his rings off methodically because he's about to ruin your physical existence. And that's the way it should be, because that's instant reinforcement from a negative direction that will serve as a forcing factor for you to keep your stupid mouth shut. And that's what we call a polite society. And gosh, I long for the return of those days. I long for it. When you see a dude, think about these drag queen story time and these drag queen parades and stuff like that. You got grown ass men shaking their reproductive organs at children. That float. Now, hear me out. I'm a biblical literalist. I'm also an American. And you have the constitutional right to be as freaking retarded as you want to be. You don't have the constitutional right to force me to participate in your delusions. Okay? You certainly don't have the constitutional right to force unwilling children to participate in your delusions. That's fine. You want to be weird? You be weird over there. But you don't get to make me participate in your weirdness. Okay? But think about one of these drag queen parades where there's like children. There's children there. Those parades should be stormed. There should be a wave of 1,000 men destroying that. Say what you want to about the Durka jihad dudes from across the pond. At least they're willing. Now, I don't agree with their core ethics and values, but at least they're willing to defend them. Unlike the Christian man who's been neutered by pussy pastors on Sunday morning being fed a book full of lies in order to encourage people to put money in the plate. Unlike the Christian man who's been told that in order to be like Jesus, you've just got to be a really nice guy. Turn the other cheek, brother. Do you know what that means? That's the prophet Mickey Yahoo under the penalty of death speaking the word of God. And he gets slapped across the face by a false prophet. And Mickey Yahoo turns the other cheek to him. It says, I will speak only the word of Yahuwah my Elohim. Turn the other cheek means under the penalty of death, you don't waver from your convictions. It doesn't mean be a sopping wet P word. Meekness has been taught as weakness, and it's not. Meekness means to have a sword and to have a sword upon your thigh and to have your hand upon your sword, but to keep it sheathed. Meekness is the ability to utterly destroy you, balanced with wisdom and discernment. That sounds way different than be a pushover, doesn't it? And I'll say this before we get back to the news. You, men who are listening, it's your responsibility to put your nose in that book every day and live according to it and live according to the true model of Messiah. Don't be outsourcing your faith to anyone, any pastor, any priest, any rabbi, any bishop, including me. Okay? You are to walk in the model of Messiah. Thank you, Sam, for the super chat. You are to walk in the model of Messiah and do what he did. And he was a good guy. But I don't believe he was a nice guy. Not the way that it is preached today. And if we had a little bit more of that, the harvest is great, but the workers are few. The next time somebody tries to shake their reproductive organs at a child, that's assault. That's right. It is assault, and I'll do it again. I'm going to take you to court. Send it. Let's go. I'll walk there with you right now. You do that again, it'll be the last breath you ever take. Get out of here. You violated my civil rights. All right. Let's go. Find me a jury of my peers, not your peers, because you're not on trial. My peers. Find me a jury of my peers, and let's have this conversation. You can't physically assault someone. You were shaking your testicles and penis at a child. Is that not assault? Sounds like assault to me. You're lucky all I did was knock your teeth out. You're lucky. You're still breathing. There should be more of that. So you're saying we get to beat people up? I'm saying force where necessary is called for. Let's put the shoe on the other foot. If I go into one of their non-public spaces, private spaces, and I walk in there and I'm being a total jerk to them and I'm violating their code of morals and ethics, they can beat me up or try. Stop it. Get out of here. You shouldn't do that. They could beat me up. They're welcome to eject me from their private space if I violate their morals and ethics. But in the public, as Americans, we used to have values. We used to not tolerate these things. A man, Joe Aquilino, bless you, brother. Praise the Most High. Amen. A man playing dress up at 37 years old, taking advantage of a 12-year-old boy. Boys, that's what the Ford F-150 is for. Bring me a piece of rope. Crack a couple beers and wear our shorty shorts while we're doing this thing. Tina, throw the bikini on. We're headed to the lake. Okay? We used to be a proper country. You can say that as a pastor? Sure, I can. But Tina's got shapes, and we shouldn't look at people's shapes. Well, what if Tina's your wife? Then you're allowed to look at Tina's shapes. You're not allowed to look at Tina's shapes if she's not your wife. Simple as that. There's rules. Drinking? Drinking's okay. Drunkenness is not. Simple as that. What was Messiah's first miracle? Turned water into what? Here come the Baptists. Welch's grape juice. Nope, that's not what it says. There are two different words for grape juice and wine in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Do your research. But Martin Luther said, cool, is Martin Luther God? But Jerome, when he wrote the Vulgate, is Jerome God? But Calvin, is Calvin God? Nope. No, they're not. Real ones do the pine tree. All right. Moving along. I hope that Candace does go to court. I would love to see what documents end up in the discovery here. Last little bit we're going to look at. We talked about this Wednesday, and then we're going to do the national intel. DHS and HHS, Department of Homeland Security and Health and Human Services, among federal agencies hacked in the Microsoft SharePoint breach. It's now about 400 agencies, United States federal agencies, and governments that have been hacked in the SharePoint breach. Well, what's the big deal there? Well, they were hacked by Chinese individuals that were employed by these federal agencies and other world governments, many of which, had they done some quick Google foo, had known ties to the CCP as intelligence operatives. And the breach is still 0 day. What does that mean? It means even with the updates Microsoft has done to SharePoint, the vulnerabilities still exist. It means that China has a backdoor intentionally into Barry. You can't say backdoor after all that talk that we just had. I can. It's my show. I can say whatever I want. It means that China has a backdoor into DHS and HHS and American DoD nuclear facilities and certain elements of the government of the United States of America and Mauritius and Netherlands and I forget what other countries, but it's a long list. This is a pretty big deal. Now, if I was China, why would I want this? Because we got to have three things if we're going to attack, right? Speed, surprise, violence, of action. Well, speed is interesting. We've lost, in many cases, the ability to have speed by having politicians involved in oversight of the DoD. There's a lot of leaking that happens there, although I do like the concept of having politicians involved in the oversight of the Department of Defense because those politicians are supposed to represent their constituents' best interest. They're supposed to represent us. They do not anymore. But conceptually, I like that. Surprise. There's no surprise if your enemy has a backdoor into all of your communications. Okay, that leaves violence of action. And violence of action goes a long way, for sure. But I'll give you another example. When I was a kid growing up, I dealt a lot with bullies because my crew, the kids that I hung out with, were all the weird kids that did not fit in anywhere else. The, mildly obese band girl with acne and the little Jewish kid and the football player that did not get along with all the other football players and the mathletes and the one goth girl. And, that was my crew. Okay. All the social rejects from all the other circles were my people. It's like, I will come to me, all ye who are weirdos. I will give you protection. And so since all these other kids got picked on, and I've never enjoyed a bully, cool. Well, you don't get to pick on Yuri Mandelbaum without picking on me. So I got into a lot of fights as a kid and as a young adult, and I'm good with it. But I'd get these bullies who'd be like, I'm going to kick your ass at 4 o'clock in the parking lot. Okay. No, you're not. Because I'm going to kick your ass right now. Now, what's the point of that? If your enemy telegraphs that they're going to attack you at this place at this time, why would I be there at this place at this time? That's ridiculous. Because, say this bully, right? It's not going to be just this bully. It's going to be him and his whole crew out in the parking lot at 3:55, waiting for me to get there at 4. And if I start to get the upper hand on this guy, all of his friends are going to jump me. Nope. They have time to prepare. So if the bully says, I'm going to kick your ass at 4 o'clock in the parking lot, instead of acquiescing to their terms, I'm going to kick their ass now. We're not going to make it till 4 o'clock. Swivelhead. I work for a DoD sub-agency. China was in the DoD system for 90 days in 2015. Had to be given access. Also, thank you, Bear Nation, for your prayers. I'm cancer-free after 90 days from diagnosis. Praise Yah, Swivelhead. That's awesome. And thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. That's great. 3:45 in a stairwell. Young man tripped and fell down the stairs. It was the darndest thing. Yeah. I threw a guy one time as a young man. Kind of like picked him up by the scruff of his neck, back of his shirt, back here, and his belt, and just chucked him like throwing a hay bale, like how I grew up. And I had a guy who was working for me, Sammy Cisco, was standing in the hallway of a hotel, wide-eyed, and he goes, I have never seen anybody throw another human being that far in my life. It's like, thanks, Sam. I was a little pissed off. But my point is, you don't telegraph to your enemy, right? You lose the element of surprise. And so if China has backdoors into our systems, we lose the element of surprise. And so asymmetric warfare, right, gave him the ultimate wedgie. I did. It was, and maybe I'll tell that story at some point, but it was the old me. That was the old me before Messiah. Which is part of why now when people are like, I can't believe you use that dirty, rotten language, Mr. Bear. I'm like, you are seeing a snapshot of who I am. Even now, you see a snapshot of who I am. You don't know who I was. When Paul says, chief amongst sinners, I don't know, Paul, maybe in your day, but in my day, I think I was up there. And it's not bragging rights. If anything, it illustrates the power of the blood of Messiah and the grace of the Most High. But I've come a long way from throwing people down hallways and stairwells and beating the crap out of people and blowing my paycheck on booze and drugs and whoring and idolatry and satanic heavy metal and all of that. So it's like, yeah, I don't say tiddlywinks. I haven't progressed to that level of sanctification at this point. And that's okay. You know why that's okay? Because there's plenty of other men who are listening right now that also don't say tiddlywinks, that need someone to read the Bible with, need someone to get some information with, need someone to get a little bit of life advice from. And if I'm the guy for that, praise the Most High. Girls like pulling hair. I never understood that. It never hurt my head, but they learned to leave me and mine alone. Yeah, there's something to that. You know, there's two times you see men in the Bible that will shave their beards. One is to their shame, and the other is prior to war. And the reason is these beards that make a great handle. You don't want somebody to be able to get a hold of your beard or take a knife and come across your jugular with it. So, bless you, Jeff. James Atlee, 100%. You speak on my wavelength. I try. So anyway, DHS and HHS, we can add them to the list of breaches from the SharePoint hack, which brings us to bonus intel. Intel at bearindependent.com is where you send this information. Intel at bearindependent.com. Health alert per an employee meeting. The recent governmental changes have increased the size of the pay wheel due to restructuring of pay rates from Medicare and Medicaid. This will impact all areas of healthcare as Medicare and Medicaid make out a large portion of income for hospitals, EMS clinics, and some private practices. Nursing homes, assisted living, and long-term care will also be impacted, I suspect the most. This will result in closure of some facilities. This will also impact private insurance payments as they are usually based on Medicare and Medicaid pay scales. So, chaos inbound yet again in an already strained healthcare system. Prepare to self-rescue. No one is coming. Good data. Thank you. I appreciate reports like that. Intel at bearindependent.com. There's more. Just hold on. I have commentary. Refuge Medical, for about the last year, have recommended Jace Medical for meds. And I can no longer do that. because Jace has taken it upon themselves to become a direct competitor to me in the first aid kit space, which I would like to be on the record as saying is gay. That's just gay. And so I don't recommend that you get meds from Jace. I recommend that you talk to your provider that you already have, your doctor, and say, hey, doc, things are a little weird out there. I've been squirreling away a couple of bucks. This prescription that I'm on every 90 days, I'd really like to get a year's worth. Or I'm on it every 30 days. I'd really like to get 90 days worth. I've got some travel coming up, blah, blah, blah. And 99 out of 100 times, your doc's going to go, okay, unless they're narcotic, in which case they can't. They're bound by law. And if they're narcotic, then Jace can't send it to you anyway. So I have looked at, so get from your doc and your local pharmacy at, generally speaking, a much cheaper rate. What's up, Ella Bean? Then going to Jace anyway. And I have looked at Jace's first aid kits. This is third-party white labeling, garbage manufacturing, marketing to... Now, it's a great strategy if you're Jace because you have an existing customer base that you can retarget and market back to. From a business standpoint, it makes sense for them. But it's all high-margin, overseas manufactured bullshit. So I personally am unafraid of them because we do the opposite of that. I'm on their website now. It's awful, says Dana. Yeah, it is awful. And their prerogative. They can do whatever they'd like to do. I get it. But I would not buy that cheap garbage first aid kits. Introducing expert curated trauma kits. Trauma kits, huh? Let's have a look-see. Those bags come from India. These they did it. They made a trauma pill pack. I gave them that idea. And they're going to say, no, you didn't. To which I'll say, yeah, I did. And how do I know that I did? Because I record all of the calls that I'm on. What? Yeah. Intelligence, baby. I have the recorded call of me giving them that idea. That's okay. They executed on it. The trauma, the medic, and the mini. Wow. The trauma. Look at that. Let's see what's in here. Let's look at the trauma. Let's learn more. $269 for Chinese manufactured garbage. ETQ wide tourniquet, which I would love to recommend, but I do not, especially the Gen 1, which they're using. Gen 1 fails. I've broken a dozen of them. And I know the Snake Staff people watch my videos. And this is not me personally coming for you. There's a reason the Gen 2 came out. The Gen 1, I've broken a dozen of them. Okay. And I want there to be 100 good tourniquets on the market, not 2 or 3. But the Gen 1 ETQ wide, no. Let's see. It's got a Slishman in there. That's good. Oh, it does have an LED flashlight in there. Look at that. One of those 99-cent gas station flashlights. $269. I wonder where they got that price point from. www.refugemedical.com. First aid kits. View all IFAKs. Oh, look, a bear fac. $289. Oh, look, a travel fac. Right here. So, this has a Made in America tag on it right there because it's made in America. It has a North American Rescue Gen 7 cat tourniquet on it, the worldwide standard for tourniquets. It has a Sharpie. It has a light. Wow, interesting. Huh. It also mounts to the headrest of your car, your truck, your four-wheeler, your SUV, your boat, your whatever. And then if I need this thing, I just get the red handle. I pull the inner out of the outer, and I pop this open, and it's got all the things that I need to have inside of it. Oh, look, including a Slishman device. I wonder where they got that idea from. A set of shears, 2 pairs of gloves, hemostatic gauze, compression bandage, wound packing gauze, chest seals, boo-boo stuff, duct tape, wound closure. Wow. Huh. All right. Cool. And for the price that you would pay for that overseas manufactured trash, look, you can get Made in America, guaranteed forever. You don't have to. You don't have to. This is America. You could buy whatever you want. But if you used promo code BearNation, you'd get 10% off on this right now. If you used code SCHOOL20, you get 20% off all the back-to-school kits, you know? And then you'd be getting a first aid kit cheaper than Jace. Made in America, by Americans, guaranteed forever, with 150 lives saved to date. So, sorry, Jace. From now on, we are enemies, you and I. Until such a point as you pull your head out of your ass, in which case maybe we could have a conversation again. And that's fine. Actions have consequences. But I can no longer endorse Jace Medical. So therefore, I will not. Continuing. Just wanted to pass along my AAR from the storms and power outage from June, as well as some other intel. As reported by Bear, the southeast Pennsylvania area was rocked by storms, causing 300,000 Pico electric customers to lose power. Storm blew through my area, lights flickered, then off. My son and I didn't miss a beat, got lanterns, headlamps, still daylight, but darkness comes fast when you don't have power. Plugged the refrigerator and freezer into our 2,500-watt battery box solar generator. Next, my son checked the outside of the house, and I checked on our neighbors. Our little community has 4 households. House 1, family of 4, 1 husband, 1 wife, 1 baby, age unknown, 1 mother-in-law. House 2, 1 single female, 20s, 30s. House 3, 1 husband, 1 wife, both in their 50s. Husband had bypass surgery not long ago. House 4, our house, 1 male, 50s, 1 male, 30s, 1 9-year-old boy who was visiting his mother when this happened. I asked if everyone was safe or needed anything. House 2 needed a lantern. Gave a lantern with spare batteries, and I let her know if she needs to recharge the batteries to let me know. After seeing that everyone was safe, no damage, our dinner, we read the good book, called it a night around 21:30 to 2200, about 10 o'clock. Day 2, got dressed, read Proverbs 20, Psalm 93 through 95, fired up the coffee, checked on the 2,500-watt solar generator status, and noticed it wasn't working. Fridge and freezer were okay. Got the dual fuel generator using propane out to cycle the refrigerator and freezer on off every 3 to 4 hours. Next, got the solar generator hooked up to their panels for charging. Only thing we needed electric was for the refrigerator and freezer. Checked the status of the power outage and was given an ETA of 1,400 for restoration. Was not taking that for granted. Plan in place was to run the generator for 4 hours and turn it off for 4 hours, then back on for 4 hours until around 10 p.m. or 8 p.m. rather, than secure the generator and run off the solar generator. Made lunch around noon. Then I remembered that we had one of those hand-cranked battery-operated radios, so turned that on for updates from the local news source. 2 p.m. came and went with no power. New ETA, 2300 Friday. Still not overly concerned at this time. Spent more time in the woods sitting outside as the Father blessed us with great weather. Called it a night just before midnight just to see if the power came back. Day 3, same routine as Friday, even though it was Shabbat. Got the refrigerator and the freezer hooked up, as my thought was, food is life. Yep. Solar generators were fine. Didn't need to do anything with them. And if needed, could plug them into the generator to get them full power for the night. Was outside reading and talking to the Father when around 1400 my son pops his head out the door and says, "Power's back on." I was a bit taken by surprise, as the last ETA was for 9 a.m. Sunday. The Father saw fit to give us power, then praise Yah. He only noticed it because the dining room ceiling fan turned on, as well as a few lights. The night of the storm, I made sure to turn off the AC and most everything else, as I didn't want this big power draw to cause issues. Bear can speak more about that. Key takeaways: no food loss. Everyone was safe. We didn't freak out. We went through 1.5 20-pound propane bottles. Got a propane gauge currently testing and evaluation. The 2,500-watt solar generator was a loss. That was supposed to be used for overnight power, refrigerator, and freezer. Currently, T&E the Jackery 1500 for that purpose. Were my concerns heightened? Yes, as I wasn't sure about the status of 911. We had security, we have medical, not nearly enough for a protracted outage, but a work in progress. I'm a former EMT. I try to keep my skills updated by taking instruction that my company offers, not the same as when I had to do it. But right now, had to do continuing education, but right now I do what I can. Side note, July 12th, 2025, Pennsylvania experienced 911 outage for about 8 hours. This is the third time since December 24 that 911 has been impacted by the outage. That has been happening nationwide, by the way. That has been happening nationwide. There have been rolling nationwide 911 outages. Very underreported. On Thursday, July 17, while working, I received a strange call from a first responder who responded to a call at our trust facility at North Point in Fairless Hill, Pennsylvania. After asking what he was referring to, he told me that one of the plant workers fainted, hit his head when he did. It seems like he had some cardio event. He wanted to acknowledge that the plant workers responded with CPR and AED. That thanks to that effort, that once the gentleman was in the ambulance and on the way, they had a pulse by the time they made it to the gate, and he was fighting in the intubation tube. I said, thank you for the update, and we'll pass on this information along. I passed that information along to the I got disconnected. Am I back? Hello, 5x5. Continuing. I passed along the information to those who needed it, saying that, hey, the training is working, but need more of it. I've tried several times to suggest refuge for equipment and training, but the powers to be are just fine with how things are. I keep a couple of Bearfax bleeding control kit on my desk, as well as several TQs. May Yah bless you and your families. Wonderful. Thanks for the intel. Intel at bearindependent.com is where you send it. And yeah. That's the show, man. Thanks for being here. You guys know the drill. Share, subscribe, ring the little bell icon. Share is really important. At Refuge, the back to school kits right now, which is the bleeding prevention kits. So all BPKs, basic, intermediate, and advanced. The kiddo kit, the desk kit, bleeding control stations, and boo-boo kits are all 20% off right now. Use code SCHOOL20 for that, for back to school, which is a hell of a deal. BPKs, bleeding prevention kits, are a wonderful resource as well. Just talked to a guy named Chris yesterday who called, had some questions, was looking to basically put together a mass casualty kit for a facility that he works at that has a lot of children at it. And what we came up with was, hey, get a low profile backpack, one that's not going to look like anything. Get a JanSport, something like that, and fill it full of BPKs. Okay. What's a BPK? Bleeding prevention kit. Tourniquet, gauze, pressure bandages, hemostatics, chest seals, gloves, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can chuck those things as needed to other personnel. And so that's a great way to make a mass casualty kit. It's just a random backpack that is unassuming, filled with BPKs in a non-permissive or semi-permissive environment. Okay. And they're 20% off right now, school 20. And then everything else in the store, everything. If you use code BearNation, it's 10% off. So check that out. It's Friday. Do a little window shopping. The store will close at sundown and reopen tomorrow evening at sundown. So yeah, refugemedical.com, promo code BearNation, or school20 for the back to school promo. Grindstone Ministries is coming home from Texas today. The TDEM, Texas Department of Emergency Management, said words to the effect of they would have been screwed in Travis County without Grindstone. And so our boys and girls at Grindstone have gone down there and done the things for about a week and a half, couple of weeks, and they're tired and ready to come home. However, they're also ready to, they have done a handoff to other NGOs in the area to move from relief to recovery. So that's awesome. So thank you for everybody who has prayed for Grindstone, everybody who supports Grindstone, everybody who deploys with Grindstone. Great job. Great job, team. CalebHouse.org, the restoration fundraiser, fell a little bit short of our $300,000 goal. We made it to 283, and that's to build Care House 2. And so thank you to everybody who prays over Caleb House, everybody who donates to Caleb House. This is to build a 7-bedroom house, care parents and children. And if you think about building a house for $300K in 2025, 7-bedroom house, that it's a huge bang for the buck, right? There's a lot of leverage in there. And that leverage comes from volunteers at calebhouse.org if you'd like to be one of those people. And then also in-kind donations of, construction material, appliances, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's how we can get a house of that size built for $300K. And then the purpose of that house is restoration of juvenile human trafficking survivors. We don't just do rescue. We don't just do advocacy. We don't just do victim services. We also do restoration, which is the critical need in the counter-trafficking space. And so if that's something you'd like to support, feel free to visit calebhouse.org. Now, I must go. Question: when will we have another Amazon wish list for the homes? When we have another home that needs to get wish listed, there will be another wish list. The on-site director's house is being built right now. So Care House 1 is complete. The barn door is complete. The barn is complete. The well house, which is significant, is mostly complete. And the pad work for the administration building is under construction right now. The on-site director's home is under construction right now. And then when those two things are complete, we move on to Care House 2. And while all of this is happening, ongoing licensure with the Attorney General's office and Department of Homeland Security is also happening. That's also ongoing, to say nothing of the different safe sites that we operate, as well as I'm happy to tell you we're in the final stages of bringing on board a new executive director at Caleb House. Very stoked about this individual and their background and their giftings and their talents and delights. And I can't wait to introduce you to this person once the ink is dry on their employment contract. But literally the top of my list of potential executive directors for Caleb House was this individual. And the Father is good all the time, baby. And so I can't wait for you to meet this person. We're just not there yet. And so really huge gifting there as well. And you're probably asking yourself, yeah, but don't you have an executive director? I do. That executive director is actually going to be moving into field work full time, which is awesome, as the scope of Caleb House continues to grow. And so thus new executive director and an executive director that meets certain criteria is required for licensure through both DHS and also the AG's office. And so one of the things that I love about the people that we do Caleb House with is the humility. I don't care where I am on the team as long as I'm on the team. Hey, if I got to wear the executive director's hat for a while, I'll do that. So, oh my goodness. Oh, wow. That's a lot of daughters. Oh, no. Come here. Oh, no. You going to say hi to people? You say hi to the people? Yeah. Yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing? You say hello. Oh, you waved? Lamppost says, hi, Wheeze.
Hello.
Can you say hi?
Isn't that Melissa and Logan?
Shh. Yes. What? What? Knee? Don't press that button.
I'm basically taller than you, but
No, you're not taller than me. I'm just sitting and you're standing.
oh.
Okay. Well, you got a lovely family, Bear. Amen. I agree. Are you drumming? You drumming?
Yeah.
Trevin says, Wheeze, you're a great big sister. Tontu. Oh, they're all drummers. You should see this kid at church in the middle of mid-Ross. This one will get up, run over to the drum set, grab a stick, and just start banging stuff.
Yeah.
They're all drummers. It's in their genes. They come by it naturally. So, put your tongue in your face. What are you doing? What? What? Good job. Everybody with earbuds is so upset right now. Yeah. Yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. Hey, where's your ears? That's your ears? Ears. Where's your eyeballs?
I say eyes.
Where's your eyes? No. Where's your nose?
I say nose.
I can't see your nose. Where's your nose? Good job. Yeah. Does Daddy have a nose? Where's my nose?
Is that Daddy's nose?
Where's my nose? No, not your nose. My nose.
Is it right here?
Oh, thank you. Okay. We love y'all. I went to bed humming Icky Sticky Bubble Gum. Yeah. You ready? Icky Sticky 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 Bubble Gum. Bubble Gum. Bubble Gum. Icky Sticky 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 Bubble Gum. Makes your hands stick to your head. And you pull them. And you pull them. And you pull them away. Boom, 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 boom. All right, we got to go. We got a full day ahead of us. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. May the Father make his face to shine upon you. May he give you peace, his shalom this day. May you experience the breath of life, the Ruach. Stay blessed, y'all. Shalom.